Data is crucially important. Data is power, data is influence. It is pretty much everywhere. If you understand the data, then you understand both the inequities, but most importantly, the opportunities.
Data to us is not just quantitative numbers. When we're talking about data, we're talking about information and stories. It gives us a solid foundation to make decisions, and so whānau need that information as well as service providers in order to make better outcomes for Māori.
It was data that brought us here. It was data that helped our people to navigate probably some of the most important navigational feats in human history, because they had the right data to ensure that they could repeat that journey again. So following Kupe's instructions, our people drew on all that data. So we know that data provides new futures and helps us determine what direction we're going to go in. For government, data absolutely underpins everything. It is the engine of government. And it's no different for communities. All decision makers and all leaders need good data to drive and underpin these strategies and to help with the planning going forward, whether it's economic data or social data, data about culture. As an example, the census is a comprehensive nationwide collection of data from all households across Aotearoa New Zealand. It underpins all of the decision making that is part of the government engine, but it also informs the decision making of our communities. If you don't have good quality data coming in, good inputs, then of course that affects the quality of the decision that you're going to make. So it's our role in government to ensure that the quality of data is good and that that data can be accessed by others to use to make the decisions that they need to make. We are measuring things that are important to government, but iwi Māori have a different way of measuring their wellbeing, a different way of measuring their health, their wealth. The government data system has had no Māori thought leadership in its design, so that effectively impacts the outcomes from a system that doesn't have us at the pinnacle of its thinking, centred in its thinking. So it's not designed from a treaty perspective at all. So what we're trying to do is really retrofit the aeroplane while it's flying and transform it into a data system that actually does understand the obligations under Te Tiriti for iwi and Māori rights with regards to data.
Predominantly Māori data is qualitative, so it's the stories, how we share our information from one generation to the next and how we are able to interpret our natural world. So if we're not involved in that quantitative space, then we're getting legislation created that doesn't really create better outcomes for Māori. It's a one blanket approach, and usually it's us at the bottom. I suppose the easiest example is life expectancy. Bowel screening will be lowered for Māori next year from 60 to 50, but we've been pushing for that since 2016. We even saw that in our data at Te Tihi, and I think it took a lot of, that's too many years. We shouldn't have to wait that long.
So having our own Māori data ecosystem is really the only way that we're going to be able to reclaim our rangatiratanga in that space.
We want to have sovereignty over that data. We want to be able to define for ourselves how we are going to utilise the data that is available, but more importantly, also look for opportunity to redefine some of the data. I think we could see the power in the data. We've been able to also then look at how do we create an ecosystem that looks at data from woe to go, but also looks at where Te Ao Māori worldview can overlay the way that data is captured, defined, understood, analysed, provided back, and centred on what are the aspirations of whānau.
So a data ecosystem to us encapsulates the people, the processes, the hardware, the IT, and all of that infrastructure. It's really important because it helps to guide our behaviour when we utilise the data and make sure that the mana of those who the data is about is kept intact.
The challenge for us in the Te Tihi space is one that whānau should be able to see themselves in the data. And how do we use that data to tell their story? So it's not just about the numbers, it's about the narrative that sits behind those numbers. How do we incorporate that into a whānau order storytelling space.
In the past, data kaitiakitanga was seen as just holding and keeping the data safe. To us, it means more than that. It means to invest whānau data in a way that they're able to get better outcomes or better opportunities, not just to hold it safe. So thinking it's like putting your money in a safe deposit versus actually shares or something better, and you expect more than what you've put in. And that's what you can also get with data. At Te Tihi, data collection is based on whānau aspirations and whānau moemoeā. When you're gathering information for whānau, it needs to be meaningful to them. In our newest measurement tool, Ngā Te Hihiri, ko te wānanga, we look at whakapapa and how that adds an extra dimension into measurement. So reframing in this way definitely makes a change for how whānau see themselves and what they're able to do with that information.